Hello, welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and the second puzzle we've ever published by Madmahogany, whose real name is Madhav Sankarana Rayanan. And this is another of his Manhattan Sudokus. So the first one of these I did, I remember it well. It was an absolutely incredible puzzle. And the testing feedback on this one is that it also is a very beautiful puzzle indeed. So I'm very much looking forward to trying it. Before we try it, there's one thing or a couple of things I want to mention. The first is that many of you have asked us if we can put Let's Get Cracking on our merchandise. Well, you ask, we deliver. That's exactly what we've done. Look, there you go. Let's Get Cracking. And we've actually just sent 2 pieces of merchandise with Let's Get Cracking to the winners of our Sudoku puzzle hunt. So David and Eva, your merchandise is on its way, and yeah, well done on winning the hunt. If you haven't tried the hunt, by the way, do give it a go. We're still getting lots and lots of correct entries every day, and the feedback has been, well, it's just magnificent. We are so thrilled that so many people have enjoyed it. If you want to play that, you should find the link to our Patreon under this video. And the other thing I want to give a shout out to, though, is our Discord server, which actually has played a real role in the creation of this puzzle. So Madhav, when he was originally working on Manhattan Sudokus, tried by hand to create a perfect grid, and he got very close, as we saw in his first puzzle. But he's managed to find help on our Discord server, where there's an awful lot of brilliant constructors, and I think in fact Christoph Seeliger helped him to create the grid on screen today. And basically this sort of community of setters that's operating now is producing these fantastic Sudoku puzzles. And if you have any interest in either setting or solving, there's a community of, I think, over 3,500 people now on the Discord server. It really is quite remarkable. If you want to learn about sort of computer programming to solve Sudoku, there is a whole channel devoted to that. And yeah, many of the setters that you know and love from watching the channel are regular attendees. Indeed, as am I. I tend to go there at least once a day. Sometimes I even answer questions. So if you do have any questions for Mark or for me, you can post it in the Discord server. There seems to be a low-flying plane going overhead outside, so I hope you can't hear that. And let me tell you about the rules of this puzzle. We have got normal Sudoku rules applying. In addition, the 2 marked diagonals, you can see I've marked them in red, they also need to contain the digits from 1 to 9 exactly once each. Now, if 2 consecutive digits are adjacent in the completed grid, the edge between them is marked with a white dot. You can see lots of white dots, so we've got lots of consecutive digits. Similarly, if 2 digits along the 2 main diagonals are consecutive, they have been separated by a grey dot. Okay, so we've got 3 grey dots, so that's presumably saying that those yellow squares have to be consecutive as well. Now, here's the anti-taxicab restriction. If 2 cells contain the same digit, the taxicab distance between them cannot be equal to that digit. And of course, I can hear you saying, well, what's the taxicab distance between 2 cells? Well, it's the minimum number of orthogonal moves that you'd need to make to get from one cell to the other. So luckily, Madhav's provided an example here. He says, if there is a 4 in row 3, column 4, if that's a 4, there cannot be a 4 in row 2, column 7. That's there, look. And that's because if you were in this cell, and you went 4 cells orthogonally, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you could reach this cell. So this cell cannot be a 4 because that would break the rules. So it's a bit like chess Sudoku, in fact. And in fact, the 3 operates exactly like a chess knight, because 1, 2, 3 would be this square, so a knight's move away. So if you're used to chess Sudoku, you can sort of think of this as chess Sudoku on speed. So 3 operates like a chess knight. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that operates like a chess knight that's extremely bouncy. It's sort of the Tigger form of chess knight. So that can go there, and off the grid, presumably. So I don't really know how to describe what 5's doing, but hopefully it's clear. Basically, you have to go the minimum orthogonal distance between two cells, and if that's equal to the cell you first thought of, you can't put that number in the cell as well. So you can't have a 5 here because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's ironic that this is called anti-taxicab restrictions. In my experience, taxicabs go out of their way not to take the shortest distance between 2 points, but that's another story. Now, if you want to have a go at the puzzle, you click on the link under the video, and that will take you to this web page where you can play along. And with that, let's get cracking. And I say let's get cracking. I've got absolutely no clue how to get cracking on this puzzle. I guess we've got a given 5 here, which is consecutive with that square. So that must be a 4 or a 6. That must be a 4 or a 6. So we get a 4, 6 pair in column 3. This square, look, that's got to be 3, 5 or 7. That's got to be 2, 4, 6 or 8. As usual, one thing to bear in mind that can help with this, white dots like this, is the parity will always change as you move along sequences. So you can see you go odd, even, odd, even. 3, so that must be next to a 2 or a 4, and that's got a grey dot next to it. So this must be consecutive with a 2 or a 4, but can't be a 3, so that must be a 1 or a 5. Ooh. So is that where we start? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it is. This square can't be a 5 because it's a long knight's move, a Tigger bounce away from this square here. So this has got to be a 1. Ones operate just normally. They have absolutely no additional effect as a result of the anti-taxicab restriction. Twos operate a bit like a chess king, though, I suppose, because 1, 2, they would see the cells that are sort of next to them diagonally. Now, what do we do next? I don't know. Sometimes with these puzzles it can be worth trying to find long sequences of dots. So let's see if we can spot a cell that has this 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure what to do with that though. Another one here, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five is more interesting than 4 because 5, at least you know one of those squares has got to be a 5. Because you can't select digits consecutively from the set of digits 1 to 9. You can't select 5 in a row that don't include a 5. So there's a 5 in one of these cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this one doesn't actually impact that at all. Sorry, I'm really not sure what I meant to do here. There's so little given information. Maybe I should actually study the givens and see if they provide a restriction. Let's look at this 3. So this 3 rules out these cells by normal Sudoku, and chess knight moves away. So those cells, that cell, and that cell. None of those can be a 3. Now, so maybe the main diagonal. So there's got to be a 3 in one of these 5 cells. But I don't see why that's in any way a problem. 4. No, I'm not sure. So let's look at the 5 then. I'm fast running out of options here. So 5's got to be... Oh, 5 has this long knight's move. So those two can't be 5. These can't be 5. And then we sort of have this diagonal effect. 1, 2, 3, and that one can't be a 5 either. So it sort of comes back in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that one as well. So you get an extremely unusual pattern off the back of that. Now, is that telling us anything? So that can't be a 5. That can't be a 5. That can't be a 5. Maybe the diagonal. Ah, yeah, actually maybe the diagonal. Let me just highlight this. This square, that can't be a 5, look. Because if that's a 5, it's got a white dot, which would place a 4 or a 6 here. That's not possible. That is suspicious, isn't it? This can't be a 5, so we can turn it green, delete the number. So the 5 in this, on this diagonal, is in one of those 3 cells. Oh, is it something to do with the 5? 5 here rules out a 5 from all of those, so the 5 would have to be in one of those 2 cells. Oh no, it's not. It's this one. Of course it's this. Look at this. This is very nice. So we know that there's a 5 in one of these cells. Now a 5 here, because of this long Tigger bounce, it sees this cell. Yes, it does. It sees this cell. And obviously a 5 here rules a 5 out from all of those cells as well. So there can't be a 5 in this L-shaped region. Well, no, sorry. If we put a 5 here, there couldn't be a 5 in the L-shaped region. And we know there is a 5 in the L-shaped region. So we know that is actually not a 5. Now we are starting to get somewhere. So we now know there's a 5 in one of just 2 positions on this diagonal. So this can't be a 5 then, because obviously this cell sees that one and that one. So that's not a 5. Oh, this is gorgeous. Look. Look, we get a similar restriction in weird cells here. Whether the 5 is here or here, this cell is seen by both of those cells, because this one does a Tigger bounce and it lands there. So this can't be a 5 either, and neither can that one. This does a Tigger bounce to that one, and that one obviously sees that one as well. So if we try and put a 5 here, obviously, we can now no longer put a 5 in either of the cells where a 5 is needed. So this is also green, and the 5 now is actually locked into one of 2 positions. So the 5 is in one. Ah, okay, this is good. This is good. This gives us a digit. So the 5 in this box has got to be in one of 2 cells now by Sudoku. But this one, if we put a 5 there, it will be consecutive with a 4 and 6 in the next cell. So there would have to be a white dot. And there isn't a white dot. So there is not a 5 here. The 5 is in the middle of the grid. That is absolutely gorgeous. Now, that's not a 5 therefore. So presumably this square now, that has to be 4 or 6. This has to be 4 or 6 because it's consecutive on the diagonal. And are we going to get... So this is on the diagonal, isn't it? So none of those squares can now be 5s. These can't. This 5, look, it rules out 5s from those 2 and those 2. 1, 2, 3. This can't. This just can't be a 5 because we know it's even. So the 5 in this box is in one of 2 cells. Those can't be 5s. 5s. Hang on. Right, so let's carry on shading. We've locked the 5s out of all of those cells now. So the 5 in box 7 is in one of 2 places. This is it. 5 can't go there. Because if we put a 5 there, it's next to a dot. So we have to put a 4, 6 there, and we can't because there's already a 4 and 6 on this diagonal. So this is a 4, 6 pair, and this cannot be a 4 or a 6. Good grief. So this is not 5. This is 5. Oh, this is so much fun as well. Absolutely love puzzles like this. They just... Now we can place a 5 there by Sudoku. This square now has to be... That's got to be a 4 or a 6. We've got 4s and 6s popping up all over the place. This square... Oh, I could have just filled this square in. Once I got this 1 here, I could have just put a 2 there, couldn't I? I was wondering what was going on there. I was just noticing it couldn't be a 4 because it's next to a 5. I hope that 2 doesn't do... No, the 2's pretty unpowerful, isn't it? Because it's actually... It rules a 2 out from that square. But apart from that, it has a king's move effect. So the fact there's a 2 here isn't really influencing the rest of the grid. 1, 2, 3, 4. That can't be... These 5s are not seen, I don't think, by any of those 5s in the grid now. So let's carry on with 5s though. Oh, now maybe that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, this can't be a 5. This is a 5. So 5 is either here or here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This 5. 1, 2, 3. Yes, it does. It sees that one. So this is a 5. I'm not sure. That can't be a 5 though now. This can't be a 5. So we actually get the 5 in box 1 as well with diligence shading, which I wasn't doing. So now I've got 7 5s and I've got this arrangement here. Now 1, 2, 3, no. I'm not sure how to resolve the last 2 5s, but what a start that is. That is just gorgeous, isn't it? Now maybe actually, because I don't think we're going to be getting much from the 5s highlighting, I'm just going to highlight or remove all the highlighting from the grid so it doesn't distract me, and let's get back to it. So this square. So that's got to be a 4 or a 6 as well, which is a common theme. This square must flip back and be odd again. So 3 or 7, it can't be 5. This square's got to be 2, 4, 6 or 8. That square's got to be odd, so 1, 3, 7 or 9. But I think this has to be a sequence, doesn't it? So if this is 6, this is 7, this can't go back to 6 again. So in fact, let me just tidy this up. This has got to be 1 or 9. 1 or 9. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's going to be a dot somewhere that I've just not spotted. This is normally what happens with these Sudokus, like crop key Sudoku, is I'm terrible at this one. Yeah, there you go. 4, 6 there. So that gives me a 4, 6 pair on this diagonal. So I need 3, 7, 8 and 9 into those squares. Let's label those up, see what it tells us. That one can't be a 9 or an 8, look, because it's got to be consecutive with the 4 and the 6. So this has got to be a 2 or an 8. Okay. Thing is, we don't actually have... Although we've got some 5s in the grid, and that's brilliant, we don't actually have any other digit apart from a 3. That one can't be a 3 by knight's move, of course. I've forgotten that. So the 3 could still be in 3 places. So maybe it's the 4s and the 6s we need to look at. Let's highlight these 4s and 6s, see if we can spot anything to do with... So we've got 4s and 6s on both diagonals. Yeah, I've got it, I think. I think I've got it. Yes, I have got it. Look, we can... Let's look at this square. Let's look at this square. This is lovely again. Now, we know this is a 4 or a 6. Let me colour it in. Let's say it's one of those. What's this one? Is this... Whatever we put in here cannot be in this one as well. So we need to make this one a different colour. So if this is 6, we know this will be 4. Therefore, this one will be the same as this one. This one will be purple again. And this one, obviously, this one here, that's got to be green, because whatever we've put in here can't also appear in here. So now you can look at the two green squares. If they both contain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, the puzzle is broken. So they can't both contain 4. They must both be 6 in order to respect the taxicab restriction. So we actually know the ordering of those squares. Now that might be more helpful. Maybe 4's here and here. So the 4's 1, 2, 3. That one can't be a 4 because of the sort of slightly less than a Tigger bounce. 1, 2, so 4's in one of... no, 4, let's actually just take the 4 straight across by Sudoku. There's got to be a 4 in one of those cells. So there's no 4 in there. So this is a 4. This can't be a 7 now. 4, there must be a 4 in one of those two cells. Unfortunately, we can't use the restriction. Fours, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4 has to be in one of those two cells. I think in box 4 here. Let me just check that. This is so counterintuitive. 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3. That one can't be. And yeah, so 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 must be in one of these two squares. Oh, now I wonder actually, that one, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Yes, it is. This one is 6 away from that one, so this can't be a 6. That's a 4. Therefore, that's a 4. Therefore, this is a 5, this is a 5, this is a 3, and we suddenly have a flurry of activity. Where does 3 go in the middle now? This can only go here. 3 is in one of those two cells. 4 is in one of these two cells. Now that's quite nice. The 4 here tells us it's not in the corner. So this is a 4. And that tells us the ordering of this L-shaped region. Look, we've started to descend, so we must continue to descend. This square is obviously not 3 or 4. 4 here means this square's got to be a 6. We've looked at that diagonal already. 6 is now locked into one of those two squares. And it can't be consecutive with a 5, so it must be consecutive with a 7. So this is a 6, 7 pair. These two squares must be 8 and 9. And I wonder whether we've got... Can we... 1, 2, 3, 4... No, we can't... Oh, maybe this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Yes! This 6 sees that square, of course. How obvious. So that's got to be a 6. Now, over here, presumably, we can lock a 6 into one of these two. Now, can anything hit that? 1, 2, 3, 4... No. 1, 2, 3, 4... No. Oh, bother. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... It's just, I find it so amusing. It's very, very cool in my opinion, this puzzle. 6 now, right, we've got the same thing here. 6 is locked into one of those two squares, but it can't be next to a 5. So it must be next to a 7. That means that's not a 7, look. 3 must be in one of those two. 3 here. Yeah, 3 on this diagonal. Where does it go? This 3 means it's not in the corner, so it must be there. And therefore we go 4, 3, that must be a 2. 2 must be in one of those two cells. Okay. Well, where do we put 1 in row 1 now? We can't put 1 in any of the cells that has a consecutive dot on it, because then it would have to be next to a 2, which it can't be. It can't go there, so it can only go right in the corner. That means this is a 1. We've now got a 1-4 pair here. If this is a 1, that would be a 2. Is that okay? Maybe. Two in this box I've not filled in either, look. 2 must be in one of those 2 cells. It can't be here because it would be consecutive with the 3, or that 3. Either of those is not possible. So the 2 must go there. Now the 2 can't go here, so it must go in one of those 2 squares, and it can't be consecutive with a 1 because the 1's down there. So this is a 2-3 pair. These must all be 7, 8 and 9. You can see there's no dot on this square, so this can't be a 7. There must be a 7 in one of those 2 squares now, just looking at the geometry of this box. 7 is locked into one of those two cells. Ah, that's quite good, yeah. The 7's here, force this to be a 7. That's not a 7, therefore. This must be an 8 or a 9. Don't know which is correct. This 5 must be next to a 6 because it can't be next to a 4. So 6 must be in one of these 2 squares, and it can't be on the diagonal. And I think it feels like we've sort of cracked the really, really tricky part of this puzzle. I'm probably going to be famous last words, but that's what it feels like. This 2 now must hide in the corner of this box. That fixes the 2 on the diagonal up there. This square's got to be a 7 because it can't be a 5 and it's consecutive. 7 goes here. This must be a 4. That must be a 4. That must be next to a 3 because it can't be next to a 5. This square's an 8 or a 9. 3, 3. That's got to be a 3. These have got to be 8 and 9 as well. Don't quite know how that finishes. That's a 7 by Sudoku. This is an 8 or a 9. Ah, look at this diagonal. We've got 8s and 9s on it now. So the digits we're missing are 3 and 7, I think. Let's double check that. Yeah, and we've got 3, 7 there, so we can actually fill that in now. That's a 7, therefore. This is a 7. That's got to be next to a 6 or an 8, and... well, it's got to be a 6 by Sudoku, so that's good. 6 goes here. 6 goes here. If this is a 4, this square would have to be a 5 or a 3, and it can be neither now, so it must be a 1. 1 can only be adjacent to a 2 if it's consecutive. The 2 fixes the 2 and the 3. Ah, this puzzle, I absolutely love this puzzle. I really do. I think this variation has so much fun associated with it. Okay, so what do we need? I need to put a 1 up there. I've not done that yet. That's a 1. This has got to be an 8 or a 9. What I'm looking for is a 7. Yeah, this 7 here. I was just wondering how I was going to disambiguate the 8s and the 9s. And the way to do it, I was suspecting, would be there would be a 7 with a dot, or a 7 without a dot, like this one. That's got to be a 9, because otherwise it would need a dot. That fixes the 9 and the 8. That one looks correct, doesn't it? 8, 9 here. That's got to be 8. This has got to be 9, 9, 8, 9, 8. 8 here. This box still needs 1, 2, and 9. So the 1 goes here, the 2 goes here, the 9 goes here, the 9 goes here. This box needs, what's that, 1 and 8? 8 here, 1 here. Check, and that is how to solve Madaf's absolutely brilliant Manhattan Sudoku. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. What a brilliant, brilliant puzzle. And the beginning with this trick with the 5 in this corner was memorable. Absolutely loved it. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.